But Mary was changed. No longer soft, naive, royal games taught cruelty, mercy always came last. Thunder rolls distantly outside. A knock broke silence. Her quill froze mid-air, a whisper of breath. Then softly, "Enter." The door creaked slowly. A figure stood waiting. Gray cloak, careful steps, eyes darting toward shadows. "Your Grace," he murmured. "A messenger from France. He waits below." Hidden. Mary's pulse quickened fast. Weeks of prayer answered. Hope stirred within fear. Perhaps the cause lived. She gathered her cloak. The firelight kissed stone, then down the stairs. Spiral, narrow, echoing deep. Each step beat louder, a heart counting fate. Air thickened with dampness. Secrets clung to walls. At the stair's base, a torchlight flickered low. A man stood waiting, stranger, weary, watchful eyes. His cloak was worn. Rain clung to threads. He bowed in silence, producing sealed parchment slow. Wax bore French crest, a nobleman's quiet pledge. Loyal hearts still whispered. France had not forgotten. Mary took it gently. The seal felt heavy. Memories pressed like ghosts. Old courts, lost dances. She broke the wax. Paper cracked like thunder. Few words, yet fateful. "Your allies wait. France remembers. England weakens in silence. If time is right, act." Her hands trembled slightly. She folded it slowly. Breath shallow, thoughts burning. To act meant rebellion. To act meant treason. To act meant death. But stillness meant nothing. Oblivion, silence, erasure. Mary Stuart would not. She would not fade. A gust swept through. The torch went dark. Shadows claimed the hall. Silence pressed like breath. Night deepened around her. Mary summoned her attendants. Old loyalties gathered close. Faces worn, hearts steady. They had endured everything. Exile, loss, long silence. Years behind guarded walls. But still they stayed. Her voice broke softly. "We've lived too long beneath England's shadowed gaze. Too long in silence. If this be end, let it bear meaning. We'll not fade quietly. We'll not die unseen." Her tremor held conviction. No longer captive queen. No longer exile flame. Royal blood remembered itself. A courier leaned forward. "You risk too much, Majesty. If Elizabeth learns this..." Mary's gaze turned cold, eyes sharp as steel. "Then let her learn," she whispered through dark. Mary's gaze hardened slowly. "She has eyes everywhere. Let her keep watching. Even queens miss shadows." Dripping echoes softly afar. Rain whispered against stone. The night held its breath. History waited to stir. Plans took quiet shape. Maps spread on tables. Letters written in cipher. Alliances whispered by flame. Each word weighed carefully. Each secret sealed tight. The chamber turned traitor. Both refuge and snare. One slip meant ruin. One whisper meant death. Outside, thunder rolled low, arguing with distant heavens. Inside, hearts beat faster. Faith tangled with fear. Courage lived beside caution. The storm drew nearer. Across the sea, silence. Whitehall glowed by candlelight. Elizabeth sat, spine straight, eyes sharp, hand still. A chill crossed her. Something unseen approached truth. Power sharpened her instincts. Her gaze narrowed slowly. She could feel it. Mary's pull, unyielding, familiar, a ghost she never escaped, a mirror across kingdoms. Elizabeth turned, slow, silent. Rain traced the window's glass. England wept as Scotland did. Two thrones beneath one sky. For a moment, stillness. Then, breath, thought, dread. "She will not rest," Elizabeth whispered to shadows. "Not until one falls, not until one reigns." The candle's flame quivered softly. Even light feared their bond. Across the sea, Mary's fire. Small, stubborn, quietly alive. Each flame mirrored the other. defiant, fragile, fated alike. Soft violin begins low. Rain deepens, sea murmurs below. Stone and tide breathe together. History leans in, listening. Two queens move unseen pieces. Across borders, faith and fear. Neither knows the next strike. But destiny sharpens its blade. The storm had begun. Low hum deepens. The faint crackle of the hearth fills the silence. Mary rose slowly from her chair. The castle walls seemed closer now, leaning in, listening. Even the fire dared not speak. She moved toward the window, its glass blurred by mist. Beyond, the dawn crept pale and hesitant, like a servant afraid to enter. Every instinct warned her, wait. Every memory whispered, act. Between them lay the narrow path queens walk before they fall. Soft thud, a door closes distantly. She turned sharply. No footsteps followed, only the sound of rain returning, tapping gently, rhythmically, like code. Her gaze drifted to the desk, the book, the hollowed secret, a message hidden within words, a death sentence disguised as hope. For years she had worn crowns, played politics like prayer, and smiled through betrayal's teeth. But this silence felt different, final somehow. Wind moans through the corridor. She pressed a trembling hand against the cold window pane. In its reflection, she saw herself, a queen haunted by her own shadow. And somewhere beyond that reflection, Elizabeth watched too, through spies, through rumor, through history's unblinking eyes. The walls would speak soon. They always did. Low murmurs build beneath the sound of the wind. Footsteps echo faintly through stone. Rumors spread like fire, faster than any army. Through kitchens, stables, corridors, her name moved like breath. She plots, they whispered. She waits for France. She will rise again. Each word fed the next. Mary sat unmoving, listening. Even silence had meaning now. Each pause between footsteps spoke. Each whisper scraped the walls. Soft crackle of the hearth resumes. She lifted her head slowly. The candlelight brushed her face. Half shadow, half resolve. Fear no longer frightened her. She had lived within it, eaten beside it nightly, dreamed in its company. It was an old companion. Outside, thunder rolls faintly. Let Elizabeth watch, she thought. Let the walls betray me. Even queens in cages can turn fear into flame. She reached for her quill, dipped it in trembling ink, and began again to write, not as prisoner, but as queen. Each stroke a declaration, each word a weapon, each pause between lines a heartbeat of defiance. Wind rises, the candle flares. History was listening now, and Mary, steady, silent, was giving it something to remember. Muted strings rise beneath murmurs of courtly chatter. The storm outside Bran fades. London breathes in its place. Gold spoke louder than oaths. And somewhere within the castle, eyes paid by England watched, listening for the Queen's heartbeat. Two riders cloaked in mist had vanished before dawn. No word, no light, no trace, only hoofprints in the mud. Fear was currency now. It bought silence, betrayal, survival, and everyone in Bran Castle had something to sell. Soft echo of distant bells. By noon the air divided. Some feigned ignorance, calm smiles, while others masked dread as loyalty. All of them watched her. They bowed too deeply. They spoke too sweetly. They carried gossip like daggers, hidden behind polished grace. Whispers swell, overlapping faintly. Across the sea, London stirred. Gold ceilings, velvet halls, secrets. Elizabeth's courtiers waited, breathless as silence filled the throne room. The Queen sat still, unblinking, her plate untouched, her quill poised. Letters lay unopened before her, each one a possible betrayal. Her voice, when it came, cut through the silence cleanly. Walsingham will know of this." The courtiers bowed, retreating quickly, and in the echo of their footsteps, England's queen leaned back, whispering, "Let her play her game." The violin fades to a single, trembling note. Two queens, two storms, and history between them, waiting to choose a side. Low thunder rumbles. The fire in the hearth crackles softly. Shadows stretch across the floor like listening ears. Sir Francis Bellingham stood still, a man carved from silence and purpose. Rain streaked the glass beside him, each drop a mark of another secret found. In his gloved hand, a letter. Folded, stained, dangerous. The kind of message that ended reigns. "Your Majesty," he murmured. "The web tightens. Her friends stir in France, and the Scotswoman plots again." Elizabeth did not turn at once. She watched the rain, the blurred city beyond, where every whisper could become a blade. "How many letters this time?" Her tone was calm, too calm. "3, perhaps 4, Walsingham replied. "2 we've recovered. 1, a pause heavy as lead. 1 we have not." Elizabeth's lips curved faintly, a smile with no warmth. "Then," she said softly, "we must assume it burns." The courtiers froze, breathing shallowly, eyes averted. They'd seen that smile before. It was the smile that came before the storm. Around her, tension thickened, perfumed, polished, deadly. The queen moved to her throne, fingers tracing the carved lion on its arm. "Fear," she whispered almost to herself, "keeps the crown from trembling." And in that moment, the room understood. Her crown was not her power. Her power was the fear she taught men to feel. The candle gutters. The chamber falls to silence. Far away in a rain-drenched tower, another queen lifted her pen and wrote the words that would seal both their fates. Soft wind sighs through narrow halls. A candle flickers, casting long shadows against the stone. Mary noticed it all. The shifting eyes. The pauses lasted one heartbeat too long. Even loyalty, she thought, has its seasons. At her writing desk, the hollowed book remained. Its secret letter is still hidden within, a fragile link between hope and ruin. She stared at it for a long time as though it might whisper what to do. Beyond her window, rain traced crooked lines down the glass, each drop a memory of the world she'd lost, the laughter of France, the promise of crowns. The weight of youth is now gone. Her maid, Bess, entered quietly, hands trembling as she poured wine. Mary's voice was soft, almost kind. "Tell me, Bess, do they still speak my name?" The girl hesitated, eyes down. "Yes, my lady, but not kindly." Mary smiled faintly with a sad, knowing curve. "When they stop speaking, then I shall be forgotten. Until then, I am still a queen." Thunder murmurs. A low chord swells slowly, haunting. Outside her chamber, footsteps echoed in the corridor, measured, deliberate, unfamiliar. Somewhere a lock turned. A voice whispered orders. And in that moment, Mary knew the walls themselves had begun to listen. Every candle burned shorter. Every silence grew louder. The storm, the one she had felt coming. I was finally at the door. Soft breath. A candle sputters. The sound of distant thunder rolls through the stone. Mary drew back from the door, her pulse echoing louder than the storm. She moved toward the window, the only place that still felt hers. Outside, the courtyard lay drowned in darkness, torches flickering like dying stars. Rain blurred every outline, turning soldiers into shadows and whispers into ghosts. She thought of escape, of hidden corridors whispered about by old servants, of tunnels that might lead to the forest beyond the gate. But she knew better. There were no secrets left in this place, only traps waiting to be tripped. In the silence, A memory returned a ballroom in France. Music, laughter, the warmth of youth. She had danced then, believing the world would always love her. Now, even the air around she felt foreign. Every breath carried danger, every sound a question. The violin rises faintly, one trembling note. She moved back to her writing desk. The hollowed book still sat there, its a secret as heavy as a crown. Her hand hovered above it, then withdrew. "No," she whispered to the dark. "Not tonight." And as the candlelight wavered, a new sound joined the rain, the faint scrape of metal just beyond her door. Someone was there, waiting, low rumble of thunder. The last candle flares, then steadies. For hours, Mary did not move. The storm pressed against the windows, a living thing whispering, warning, waiting. She touched the cold glass, watching her reflection tremble in each flash of lightning. It was the face of a queen, but also of a prisoner caught between crowns, between faiths, between worlds. Somewhere below, a door slammed. Boots echoed on the stairs. Voices followed muffled, hurried, afraid to be heard. She turned slowly, the candle's flame bending with her breath. It would not be long now. She could feel it. The air carried that peculiar stillness, the kind that comes before an ending. Far across the sea, Elizabeth, too, sat awake in her chamber. The same storm rolled over England's coast, and the same unease settled in her heart. Neither queen slept, neither could. Because power once touched never truly lets go. It haunts, it consumes, it watches just as they watched each other. Soft choir returns faint, distant, almost holy. And as the night deepened, two women, bound by destiny and fear, waited for the dawn that would decide which crown would fall first. The lantern flame trembles a single breath away from darkness. He steps inside. The sound of his own heartbeat fills the emptiness. Above him, the ceiling vanishes into shadow, vaulted stone lost to time. Along the walls, figures carved in relief, their faces worn smooth, their eyes hollow as if watching still. At the center of the chamber, a table of black marble, its surface slick with age. Upon it, a single object glints in the lantern's dying light, a chalice, silver, unbroken by rust. The music grows louder now, though no instrument plays. It seems to come from the walls themselves, a sorrow that has waited centuries to be heard. He reaches for the chalice. The moment his fingers touch the metal, the music stops. Silence, complete, crushing, alive. Then, from somewhere unseen, a whisper. "Do you remember us?" The lantern gutters out. Darkness takes the frame. Stone pillars rise like frozen trees, and between them rows of carved faces, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Each one is different. Each one is watching. The traveler raises his lantern higher. The light trembles across their eyes, and in that trembling glow, some seem to move. One face in particular catches his gaze, a woman with a crown of thorns, her mouth slightly open as if whispering something. He cannot hear. He steps closer. Her eyes seem deeper than the stone around them, and as his hand brushes the carving, he feels it. A pulse. Slow. Steady. Alive. The lantern dims. He backs away, heart-pounding. The hum grows louder now, a chorus of invisible voices singing in a tongue older than prayer. Then, in the far corner, a light. A single candle burning. But who lit it? He walks toward it, drawn as though sleepwalking. The candle sits beside an open book, its pages yellowed, its ink faded, but one line is still legible. The castle remembers what the world forgets. He looks around again, the faces, the whispers, the song. Suddenly he understands. This is no crypt. It's a memory, a living memory carved into stone, waiting for someone to listen. He places his hand upon the nearest wall. Beneath his palm, he feels the heartbeat of the castle slow, ancient, patient. And in the darkness, it feels almost human. The sound fades to a low hum like breath in stone. A low wind murmurs through the corridors. The candle's flame dances like a whispering soul. The traveler leans closer to the open book. The ink glows faintly now as though breathing. The words rearrange themselves in the candlelight, forming new sentences, written not by hand, but by memory itself. She was the keeper of secrets, the heart of the castle, and the curse that binds it still. He turns the page. The air thickens, heavy with something unseen, as if time itself has paused to listen. Then a shadow moves across the wall, slow, deliberate, human. He spins around, but the chamber is empty. Only the carved faces stare back, expressionless, eternal. He turns again, and there she is, the woman from the carving. Her crown glimmers faintly, woven from what looks like silver and dried roses. Her eyes are calm, but endless, like two wells filled with forgotten sorrow. "You shouldn't have come," she whispers. Her voice is soft, but it echoes through the stone as if the whole castle she is speaking through her. The traveler tries to answer, but his voice catches in his throat. Only the word "why" escapes. She looks toward the book. "Because truth sleeps deeper than death," she says, "and some truths wake hungry." He takes a step back. The chamber seems to breathe, walls expanding, contracting dust rising in slow spirals like ancient spirits stirring. "Who are you?" he asks. Her gaze drifts upward, toward the vaulted ceiling, lost in shadow. "I was the last voice of this place," she murmurs. "When they sealed the gates, when the fires came, they left me here. To remember." The candle flickers violently. The hum becomes a low, trembling chord, like 1,000 hearts beating at once beneath the floor. "Remember what?" She turns to him, and for a moment, her form flickers stone, then flesh, then shadow. "When power met faith," she says. "When kings played gods. When men built prisons and called them castles." Her eyes shimmer with grief. "The curse began with a vow made in blood and silence, to protect what should have been destroyed." The traveler's lantern sputters. The faces carved into the walls begin to shift. Some smiling, some weeping, as though the memory she spoke of is reawakening within them. He can feel the truth pressing closer, like the weight of centuries collapsing inward. Then, darkness swallows the chamber. Through the dark distant, beneath the earth. Low wind hums beneath a ghostly choir. The sound of a heartbeat, slow and steady, fades in beneath the narration. When the darkness took him, the traveler did not fall. He drifted, through the walls, through the stone, through centuries stacked like forgotten books. The castle breathed him in, and what it exhaled was memory. He opened his eyes, and the world was alive again. The torches burned bright, flickering along polished marble floors. Servants moved swiftly, their whispers carrying fragments of prayer and fear. The year was 1476, and Bran Castle stood in its prime, not haunted, but hauntingly alive. Trumpets echoed from the courtyard, but his lips answered without his will, "I have prepared the chamber." They walked together down a spiral staircase, lit by torches that seemed to bend toward her. Every flame trembled as she passed, as if recognizing the one who bore the curse. At the base of the stairs, a stone door waited, carved with symbols that looked like they shouldn't exist. The air was cold, alive, watching. Inside lay a single altar. Upon it, a book bound in pale leather. Its pages are stitched with hair and inked in blood. "This is what they feared," she whispered. "The knowledge that could end kings. The truth that could unmake faith itself." The traveler is still trapped within that ancient soul, felt the weight of it in his chest. He knew this was the moment history had buried. The moment erased. From every chronicle, every monk's record, every royal decree. She placed her hand on the book. "I was not the queen they wanted," she said. "I was the witness they could not kill." The torches dimmed. A thunder rolled from somewhere deep below the mountain. "Once the vow is spoken," she warned, "the walls will remember forever, even when the bodies are gone." He opened the book. The letters writhed like living things. And in a voice not entirely his own, he began to read. The chamber shuddered. Blood trickled down the carvings. Statues cracked open like shells, and within them, faces moved. The woman's crown of metal began to glow. She lifted her arms. Her shadow stretched, long and endless, until it touched every wall. Then a scream echoed, not hers, not his. The scream of the castle itself. The walls groaned, the torches blew out. And the traveler awoke, back in the ruin, back in the cold, his heart pounding like a drum in the dark. The woman was gone, but the book remained, open, waiting, and one line, written in that same living ink, had appeared upon the page. "Now you remember too." A soft choir fades, replaced by the low creak of wood and the hiss of the lantern struggling to stay lit. A single drop of rain hits the stone, then another. Slowly it becomes a rhythm, steady, unending. Somewhere far away, thunder murmurs like an old god half asleep. The traveler awoke upon cold ground. The lantern beside him flickered its last breath, casting a trembling circle of light that barely reached his fingertips. His head throbbed like a bell struck in the dark. For a moment he didn't move. The silence around him felt wrong, not the peaceful kind of silence one finds in abandoned places, but the expectant kind, as if something nearby was listening. He pushed himself up, feeling the damp chill seeping through his coat. The book lay open before him. Its pages are dry despite the dripping water from the ceiling. He leaned closer. The words were shifting again, not written, not inked alive. And this time they formed a question. "Will you finish what did she begin?" The traveler froze. His breath came shallow, his pulse quickened. He glanced toward the doorway of the chamber. There was no sound, only that slow, rhythmic drip of unseen water. But when he turned back, the book was closed. Low hum beneath the thunder. The echo of a heartbeat returns. He picked it up carefully. His fingers were tracing the edges of the pale leather. The serpent emblem on its cover gleamed faintly, as though catching a light that wasn't there. Then he noticed something else, a thin trail of footprints in the dust. Bare feet. Leading away from the altar toward the staircase he had descended hours ago. But he had been alone. Hadn't he? He followed them, step by step. His lantern stuttered back to life. The deeper he went, the more the air thickened with memory. Faint sounds whispered through the stone, a woman's laughter, a child crying, the rustle of silk against marble. He reached the grand hall again. Moonlight poured through the broken windows, turning the ancient banners into ghosts of fabric. And there, on the far side of the room, stood the mirror. It hadn't been there before. Tall as a doorway, its frame carved with dragons and thorns intertwined. The glass shimmered faintly, like water disturbed by wind. He stepped closer. The reflection showed the hall, but not as it was. It was alive again. Torches burned, servants hurried past, and standing in the reflection behind him was her, the woman with the crown of metal. Her eyes were calm, sad, not ghostly human, alive in a way that defied reason. He turned. Nothing. Only the ruined hall and the sound of rain. But in the mirror, she remained. "You opened the book," she said, her voice carrying through the glass like a song heard underwater. "Now the vow remembers you." He reached out a hand. The surface rippled, then stilled. "Who are you?" he whispered. Her answer came softly. "The last queen who tried to forget." She lifted her hand, and behind her, in the mirror's world, the castle looked different. Alive, awake, aflame with candles and life, but at its heart, a door pulsed with crimson light. "Find it," she said, "or the curse will finish what it began." And with that, the mirror cracked. Not shattered, but fractured. Thin lines spread like veins through the glass, each one glowing faintly red before fading into black. The traveler staggered back, heart pounding through ribs. Her words still echoed, cold as winter breath. He looked down slowly toward the ancient book. Its pages had changed, ink shifting like smoke. A new phrase gleamed, etched by unseen hand. "The vow is not yet broken." The lantern went out. Darkness swallowed his sight. Then, footsteps in shadow, not his, slow, steady. Rain grows louder outside. Thunder rolls above stone. A faint hum rises, chanting soft, ancient, sorrowful. He turned toward sound, but the hall was empty. Lightning flashed through glass. A figure stood waiting, half in shadow's reach, half in dying light. Then the light vanished. Silence filled the void. Wind sighed through cracks. The walls whispered back. He spoke to darkness, voice trembling, barely formed. "What do you want?" From deep below, echoes stirred. Stone groaned like waking earth. A voice, not human, answered, "You are not finished yet." Heartbeat fades to rain. Only the storm remains. A soft wind whistles. Rain patters like warning. The traveler moved cautiously. Steps echoed through hall. Air smelled of stone. Old parchment lingered faintly. Above, a raven cried. Its message pierced corridors. He clutched the book. Pages pulsed under fingers. The vow not broken. The phrase haunted mind. Meaning eluded his grasp. Action was demanded now. A faint glow appears beneath a distant doorway. He approached very slowly. Light flickered, soft, red, not fire, not fully, alive, throbbing, calling. Beyond the doorway, corridor narrowed. Stalactites hung like daggers. Each step measured, deliberate, castle testing his resolve. He paused at grate, rusted, cold, foreboding. Below came faint chanting, low, mournful, bone deep. Voice echoed through stone, sending shivers upward instantly. He descended underground passage, lantern trembling against walls. Air grew colder, heavier, breath tasting like iron. At corridor's end stood the cursed chamber door. Massive, carved with symbols, thorns, serpents, and crowns. It pulsed faintly, alive, whisper rising from cracks. Only worthy may enter, only brave may survive. He pushed the door, groaning under centuries' weight. Swinging open to red, walls lined with mirrors. Hundreds reflected the traveler, each showing different possibilities. Moments of past journey, visions of paths untraveled. At the center, pedestal stood. Upon it rested book, older, heavier, glowing faintly, crown of thorns entwined. A serpent slithered across, air vibrating with centuries. Whispers of queens lingered, betrayal, vows echoing softly. He stepped forward cautiously, hand trembling on cover. Mirrors rippled like water, visions poured through him. The queen bound tightly, fears, prayers, life intertwined. Birth of curse revealed, promises of blood whispered. Secrets, betrayals, Oaths echoed, mind overwhelmed by history. Then realization struck hard. Vow was trap, alive. Yet he could not turn back from destiny. A shadow moved silently, woman crowned with thorns. Eyes calm, voice piercing, whispered through chamber echoes. You have come far. The castle chose you. The vow remembers you. Carry it forward. Survive or perish. The traveler's heart pounded. He stepped closer, cautiously. Red glow cast shadows long across the walls. He opened ancient book, pages turning by themselves. Secrets revealed, never meant. Queen bound to castle. Whispers of betrayal echoed, blood staining stone and wood. Every vow, every curse, every promise now alive. Red light intensified, mirrors cracked. Whispers grew deafening, overwhelming. The traveler felt watched, castle testing his courage. He realized terrifying truth. Vow was responsibility, not secret. To carry memory faithfully, bear witness, survive alone. A single line glowed. Final page demanded attention. Only by understanding past, curse can finally be unraveled. He read it aloud. Chamber shuddered violently around. Mirrors shimmered, red pulsed. Heartbeat like through ancient stone. Somewhere deep, castle exhaled, alive, waiting, remembering secrets. Thunder roared, rain hammered above. The chamber hummed with ancient energy. Traveler knew the journey had begun. Curse no longer distant. It had found him and demanded understanding immediately. Learn or be consumed by the castle's unforgiving past.